Hello guys, welcome to Mr. Story Channel. Whether you're here for the juicy drama, hilarious fails, or the most wholesome moments, we've got it all. So, grab your popcorn, sit back, and let's dive into the best stories on Reddit. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss our videos. It's time for our first story. Am I the jerk for, in a rage, I flashed my father-in-law right in front of my mother-in-law. My husband's parents came to stay with us for the week. They live about 2.5 hours away. I sleep in shorts and a tank top. Well, this morning I woke up and made some coffee and sat down at the table to drink it. Soon after, my father-in-law came in and got himself a cup and sat across from me. We have a nice conversation about how the family is doing, etc. A few minutes passed and my mother-in-law came in, got her coffee, and sat down next to her husband. She started staring me down. After a minute, she hatefully asked if I liked having my breast all out in front of her husband. I was mortified and rather pissed off, so I told her it was a ducking tank top, and if I wanted to show him my tits, I would just do this, and I pulled up my shirt and flashed him my bare breast. I immediately realized what I just did and got insanely embarrassed and hightailed it to my room. I instantly heard her get to the guest room, and within a few minutes I heard their suitcases being wheeled down the hallway and the front door slammed. I immediately called my husband crying. He soon was crying too, crying from laughter. I feel terrible, but this lady has always torn me down and has always been hateful towards me for no reason other than the fact I took her little baby boy from her. I know I went over the top crazy, but she has been pushing me there for over 20 years. I tried to call and apologize, but she won't take my call. How big of a hole am I? Seems that Opie got her mother-in-law really good this time. I pity this poor father-in-law in this situation. And for our next story, my 34 female husband, 30 male, said I wasn't attractive enough to cheat on him. My husband is gorgeous. Everybody says so. I consider myself pretty but unremarkable. My features aren't exactly supermodel material, but I do the best I can with what God gave me. I have nice skin thanks to skincare, a decent body thanks to the gym, and so on. But compared to my husband, I might as well be a troll. Even my own mom thought my husband must be gay and in the closet or hiding sketchy things because of how much more attractive he is than me. It's the first thing people notice when we're out. I've had women flirt with him right in front of me and have had 2 girls I know try to get with him behind my back. Even I question why he's with me sometimes. I'm insecure about it, but my husband has always said that he loved me and thought I was beautiful and to not listen to other people. Yesterday, everything changed. I bumped into an old boyfriend from college. We parted on good terms, and it turns out he's doing very well for himself in his career. I'm looking to change jobs, and I'm pretty decent at what I do. We exchanged LinkedIns. There was nothing inappropriate about our conversation, and I would have no problem if my husband was there to hear it. My husband started an argument the minute I came home. He said he read through my LinkedIn message and swore my ex was flirting with me. I said he wasn't. My husband then made fun of my ex's looks, and it was some of the cruelest things I've ever heard him say. I told him to stop and that we could talk when he wasn't acting this way. He said that if that guy became my coworker, I would cheat on him. Then he stopped, scoffed, and said, "You know what? You're not even attractive enough to cheat on me. Not enough to keep me." I was speechless. He then slammed the door to our bedroom and locked me out for the night. I went to sleep on the sofa and woke up tucked into bed. I can vaguely remember him waking me up. Today he was incredibly sweet and kissed me before going off to work. I can still remember the play-by-play of what happened, but it's like my memory was outside of my body. I have literally never heard him say something like that. Ever. I feel so upset and uncomfortable. What do I say to him? How do I just ask him what he was thinking and what possessed him to say the things he did, and if he really meant them? What do you think Opie should do about this awkward situation? Let me know in the comments. And for our next story, my girlfriend drunkenly confessed to cheating on all of her past relationships. I don't drink. I simply don't enjoy the taste of alcohol. However, my girlfriend drinks every now and then, and every time she does, she gets super wasted, and it becomes rather an interesting night. This time, we had stayed in, and she drank and I played video games beside her. I wasn't too focused on her. She kept on babbling, But then she said something that caught my attention so quick that I immediately turned off my PC and faced her and asked her more about what she had just said. She simply admitted to cheating on all 7 of her boyfriends. And the cherry on top? They never knew. She was almost braggy about it in a way, prideful and egotistical. I was taken aback and shocked to my core. We've been dating for 3 years. She never mentioned cheating on any of her exes, much less all 7 of them. I held my emotions and kept myself in check. I told her I was going to go to bed, and after I woke up in the morning, I found her in the kitchen making us both breakfast. She seemed completely sober and relaxed. Part of me was hesitant to bring up her confession, but I did, and once I asked her, her expression changed, her eyes widened, and she started stuttering. She then admitted to everything being true and began crying, talking about how she wasn't proud of what she had done and how she cheated on all of her partners. I told her I needed space and left. It's been 2 days since I've spoken to her. My mind is scattered and my heart feels heavy. Her cheating on her partners and bragging about how she got away with it has me feeling violently sick, and now I'm stuck in my own paranoia. I keep asking myself, what if she cheated on me? What if I'm next? What if she played me too? She keeps blowing up my phone, but I've been decking her. Any advice, please? I was just as recently as a month ago talking with my mother about turning her into my wife and taking that next step, and now I don't even know if I want to be in a relationship with her. Important update. I just recently asked her to come over so we can talk about what happened, and I told her if she wasn't going to be fully truthful about her past and our relationship, then she and I are permanently done and over with. And so, she exposed everything, and I mean everything. I left out a lot of details, so I'm sorry about that, so let me make myself a lot more clear. She and I are both in our early 30s. She told me she cheated on all her boyfriends 10 years ago during her college years when she was younger, more reckless, and more selfish with her choices. She also mentioned that when she and I got together, it had been years since her previous relationship and that she went to therapy and did a lot of self-reflection. She also admitted to me that during the start of our relationship, she had been texting a few other guys but did not cheat on me, and once she realized she was falling deeply in love with me, she cut them all off and focused on our relationship. I was hurting to my core hearing all the words spill out of her mouth. Although it's been 10 years since her physically cheating on all of her past relationships doesn't mean I'm safe with her. Clearly I wasn't when she was so close to emotionally cheating on me at the start of her relationship, and even though she admitted to cutting them off in that moment, I lost almost all my respect for her. Respectfully, I told her that I was done and that I loved her, but I don't love her enough to sit and wonder and have these thoughts chase me now every time I am with her now that I know the truth. I broke up with her right then and there. I didn't allow myself to feel guilty for her. She simply was not the woman I thought I knew. It all feels like a facade, and although it is tearing me apart, I respect myself way too much to be tied to someone who'll have me questioning. Is she cheating on me? Is she lying? What if she does cheat? I'm 34. I'm way too old to be dealing with someone who'll raise my blood pressure like that. I would rather deal with the heartbreak of our relationship ending than forgive her and have her possibly disrespect our relationship. Thank you to everyone's comments. Truly, it's because of you guys. I chose myself first. If you are enjoying these stories, please give it a like and subscribe. We are trying to reach our first 100 subscribers. Thank you, and let's go for our next story about a pro revenge. Oh, I played the long game. I am by no means an expert or pro at revenge, but I am a patient person. I disclosed this to a friend, and they directed me here. Throw away for obvious reasons. It's a long read, but the setup and backstory are important. 7 years ago, I was lucky enough to be able to buy my own place. I had saved for 10 years, worked my butt off, and I was so happy to be able to have a place to call my own. Now, being a single person on the mortgage meant I had to make compromises. One such compromise was buying a property on a shared block, a lot cheaper. Where I'm from, this usually means it's on a straight-up title. For some, that's a bonus as it means there's a communal fund for repairs. Typically, insurance is cheaper as it's collective, and other things like maintenance are taken care of. Strata titles also come with a lot of bylaws and restrictions on what you can and can't do. I'm a pretty private and introverted person, so having to deal with people and have limits on how I live was a no-no. I took my time and found the perfect property. Shared block, but freehold title. The only thing that I needed was to pay public liability insurance for the shared walkway on the property, split equally between owners. The real estate agent is local to my area. There's also about 3 degrees of separation between us. He has friends who are friends with my friends type of thing. I didn't know him but knew of him, so that sort of felt good too. About 5 months after I move in, I get a knock on the door from the owner, landlord, of the property next to me to discuss insurance. Not a problem. I ask for a copy of the policy so I have a record. It gets sent through, and lo and behold, it's for straight insurance. I was incredibly confused, and after much back and forth, the property isn't a freehold title but a strata title. I called my lawyer, who conveyed the title, etc. He was dumbfounded, but over it all, they did the right thing and made things as right as they could. I arranged for a meeting with the real estate agent. I brought emails and printouts of the ads they had all saying it was freehold, emails between the real estate agent and my lawyer discussing its freehold status. Despite it being in absolute black and white, he refused to accept any fault or offer anything to make things right. I don't begrudge that. He's looking out for himself. I get that. However, I wouldn't forget it. I did enter into mediation with the real estate agent, and all I asked for was that when the time came for me to sell, they'd do it or cover the costs. I thought this was reasonable, but they flat out refused and offered me $1,000 to go away, which I refused. I had the option to pursue them legally and was advised by the mediator to do so, but ultimately I decided against it for a few reasons, the main one being my health at the time. So I planned and plotted, and I schemed and connived as to how to get back at this son of a witch. And I settled on this. I found his personal Facebook page, which wasn't set to private, and saw some photos of a boys on tour trip he went on a few weeks prior, so about 5 to 6 months after I bought the property. I also found his address through a business registration search. On the anniversary of the sale, for 6 years straight, I sent them flowers with a note. Dear real estate agent, remembering you on this, our special day. She has your eyes. With love, Ellen. They varied ever so slightly over the years, but always had, on this our special day, and some weird inference to a love child and a desire to reconnect. I also from time to time arranged for postcards and letters to be sent from another country, the one he was on tour in, always signed Love Ellen. I learned about 3 weeks ago that this guy had recently divorced, lost his home, and is no longer working as a real estate agent. His wife had found out he cheated on her. The story I was told, through said friends of friends, went along the lines of he would get weird gifts and flowers every year. Same day, every year. She, his wife, finally put 2 and 2 together and realized what the date was, and he admitted to cheating on her. Now, I didn't mean for this, but it turns out a year before I bought my house, he had gone on holiday, came back with an STD, gave it to his wife, but somehow convinced her that it wasn't him. As such, our special day turned out to be right around the time he'd have been all deep in someone who wasn't his wife, only 1 year earlier. He's apparently lost his house, half his retirement savings, and also his business. I do feel a little bit guilty about all of it sometimes, but then I'm reminded that he's a scumbag and that karma, like me, is a patient, spiteful, and vengeful witch. Do you think that Opie took things too far? Or was it justified? Tell me in the comments section. And for our next story, Stinky Revenge. I had a workmate who was terribly naughty. He would play pranks, particularly on me, as I was a good victim. A couple of months after I started work here, he left a note for me to call a person when I got back from lunch. I asked the local crematorium for my remains. I saw John wetting himself from the corner of my eye. The story got relayed around the whole workplace. I was pretty embarrassed, but I had a good laugh too. He would sneak up behind you while you were tethered to your phone, taking a call from a customer, and drop his guts, leaving you stuck in his fumes for so long. Awful. He was full of shenanigans. One time a workmate got him back terribly for a bunch of his pranks, and he blamed me. He was furious. My colleague, B, used a photo going around on the web of a nice silver teapot for sale. He put the picture on the work intranet, on the buy-sell page, saying, "Teapot for sale. Call John with John's phone number." The intranet wasn't that smart at that point, and you could post under pseudonyms, hence B assumed John's persona. John got heaps and heaps of calls about a teapot. He had no idea he had one for sale. When John, and everyone else, looked at the photo, they could see the grainy reflection of a portly male in what appeared to be bondage gear. And people quite rightly thought it was John. He naturally assumed it was me. He rang me up, furiously telling me he was going to get me back so badly. I duck and know it was you. I'm going to get you back. I told John that I wasn't smart enough to orchestrate an attack like that. Well, the silly pranks continued. John continued to sneak up and fart and do other minor annoying things to me and others. So, this is where I got John back a bit. I had to go out to make a complaint about an offensive odor coming from a garden supply place where piles of shucked mussels were stinking. My job is to assess whether the odor was offensive and whether their activity was reasonable and complying. I tried very hard to avoid the ooze coming from the piles of mussels, and as far as I could tell, I did. Visit over, and I hopped in the car. Wow, there was a nasty smell coming from somewhere on me. I checked my jacket. Nothing. I sniffed generally and YK. It appears to be from my boots. It must have accumulated generally from the yard of the garden supply place. The longer I was stuck in the confined air of the car, the uglier it got. Returning to the office, I thought, yikes, this is not going to be good. People will be pretty shy with me. Then it came to me. John was away that day, and his office was unoccupied. I don't know why he had an office when the rest of us were sardined up. So I then proceeded to scrub my boots across the floor in a very tight grid pattern. Back and forth, back and forth. I then closed the door and left his room as is. Later, someone went into John's office to take a call. I knew it was a goodie when afterwards, they complained about something unpleasant in John's room, wondering if he'd done something repulsive in there. The next day, John returned. The stink in his office had really hung around. He decided he couldn't work in there and went in and out regularly to see whether the stench had changed. Poor John was regularly complaining, loudly, wondering if someone had planted something in his room. I never admitted it until John left, and he had to know that it was me. He loved it. Looks like Opie have the last laugh there. And for our last story of today, am I the jerk for telling my brother's fiancée to grow up and stop trying to put her anger and trauma on me? My brother Matt, 30 male, is engaged to Evelyn, 32 female. Matt is our parents' biological son. I am, 25 female, their adopted daughter. We have another sister who is a bio and 2 more brothers who are adopted. Our parents fostered many kids and adopted some of us. I always knew I was adopted. I was removed from an unsafe environment and didn't have any safe biological relatives. My bio family is tiny in terms of known, and none of them are good people. I'm glad I was adopted. I feel so lucky to have found a family who embraced the fact we were not biologically connected but loved us the same and didn't try to make it shameful. Those of us who were adopted have our own circumstances for being so. One of my brothers was orphaned, and his biological parents wanted a family who would love and take care of him, and he got that with us. Matt's fiancée Evelyn was adopted as an infant, and she has a lot of feelings about that. I understand why she has some complicated feelings regarding being adopted, and why she feels like her parents bought a child because they wanted one versus wanting to give a child a good life. Her adoptive parents wanted to erase her bio and shamed her for ever having an interest in it, and they talked badly about her birth family her whole life. I don't think that was right or okay. But Evelyn is obsessed with making every adoptee feel the same way she does. She has spoken negatively about my parents robbing 3 kids of their rights to have legal access to their biological family history and identity. She has suggested I was brainwashed by CPS into believing I was removed for safety reasons from my birth family and had no safe birth relatives. Spoiler alert, all my known birth relatives have all been to prison multiple times, and yes, I looked them up. She has told me I'm just traumatized and afraid to speak out and say I was denied my real family. I told her that's not how I feel. She told me it's how we all feel. That adopted kids are products in the US. I told Matt I couldn't take that, and I'd need to see him and Evelyn less if she can't stop. She keeps seeking me out though, and on Saturday, while she was in my parents' home and tried to bring it up again, I snapped. I couldn't stand her talking like that about the people who were in the home, and I told her to grow up and accept people are different because only kids think everyone should feel the same, and that she needed to stop putting her anger and trauma on me because we don't feel the same. She said I was spiteful, throwing that in her face. I feel that she needs a reality check. Hey, everyone. That's all for today. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching until the end. Your support means the world to me. If you enjoyed what you saw and want to stay updated, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications bell. By subscribing, you'll be the first to know when I release new videos, and you'll be helping to support the channel. So, go ahead and click that subscribe button, and let's keep this journey going together. Thanks again and see you soon.